Alright, so picture this. It's the 1920s in America. World War I is over, and it feels like the whole country has decided to throw one massive non-stop party. This era was called the Roaring Twenties, and for good reason. The air is buzzing with the sounds of jazz music spilling out from every club and radio. People are doing new dances like the Charleston, and the hemlines on dresses are getting shorter. It is a time of incredible change and seemingly endless possibility. It feels like the rules of the old world no longer apply, and you can become anyone you want to be, as long as you have enough nerve and, of course, enough money. It's an age of glamour, rebellion, and a whole lot of champagne. But underneath all that glitter, there's a tension brewing. This is the Jazz Age, a term actually popularized by F.Scott.Fitzgerald, the author of The Great Gatsby. It's an age of excess. People are making money faster than ever before, thanks to a booming stock market. They're buying new cars, throwing lavish parties, and living life at a breakneck pace. There's this feeling that the good times will never end, but this frantic energy is also a bit hollow. It's like everyone is running from something. The past, their own emptiness, or maybe the fact that this giant glittering bubble is bound to pop sooner or later. This is the world we are about to step into. A world of dazzling surfaces and dark secrets. Our story takes place on Long Island, New York, which in the 1920s was the ultimate playground for the rich. Specifically, we're in two fictional towns, West Egg and East Egg. Think of them as two sides of the same very, very expensive coin. East Egg is home to the old money crowd. These are the families who have been wealthy for generations. Their money is established, respectable, and a little bit snobby. Across the bay is West Egg, the land of the new money. These are the people who got rich quick, the self-made millionaires, the stock market speculators, and as we'll find out, maybe even a bootlegger or two. Their style is flashier, their parties are louder, and they are desperately trying to fit in. This setting isn't just a backdrop, it's a character in itself. The Roaring Twenties represents this massive cultural shift in America. It's the birth of modern celebrity culture, consumerism, and the idea that you can reinvent yourself completely. The promise of the American dream, that anyone can achieve success through hard work, seems more real than ever. But Fitzgerald wants us to look closer. He wants us to ask, what is the cost of this dream? Is it really attainable for everyone? And what happens when the party finally stops? The glitz and glamour of the Jazz Age are intoxicating, but they also hide a deep sense of moral decay and disillusionment, which is what makes this story so powerful. So who is our guide through this dazzling and chaotic world? Meet Nick Carraway. He's our narrator, and the story is told entirely from his point of view. This is super important. We see everything through his eyes, colored by his judgments and his own experiences. Nick is not like the other characters. He comes from a well-to-do family in the Midwest, but they are not ridiculously wealthy like his new neighbors. He moves to New York to get into the bond business, seeking his own version of success and adventure. He's kind of an outsider looking in, which gives him a unique perspective on the whole crazy scene. Nick rents a small, modest house in West Egg. It's a bit of an eyesore, squeezed between two massive mansions. He's right in the middle of the new money glitz, but he doesn't quite belong to it. He describes himself as being tolerant and inclined to reserve all judgments. His father gave him that advice, but as the story unfolds, we see him being forced to make judgments about the people around him. He is both fascinated and repulsed by the extreme wealth and moral carelessness he witnesses. His Midwestern values of honesty and decency are constantly being tested by the decadent East Coast lifestyle he finds himself in. He's our moral compass in a world that seems to have lost its own. One of the first things Nick does when he gets to New York is reconnect with his cousin, Daisy Buchanan. Daisy lives across the bay in the super fashionable East Egg with her husband Tom. Nick's connection to Daisy is his ticket into this exclusive world of the old money elite. Through her, he gets a front row seat to the lives of the fabulously wealthy. He's related to them, but he's not one of them, which makes his position complicated. He gets to go to their fancy dinners and hear their gossip, but he's always aware that he's just a visitor in their world, a spectator to their drama. This position as both an insider and an outsider is what makes Nick such a great narrator. He's not a hero, and he's not a villain. He's just a guy trying to make sense of it all, just like us. He's pulled into the orbit of these larger-than-life characters and their epic dramas, but he maintains enough distance to comment on them. He is our anchor to reality in a story that often feels like a dream. As he tells us about the events of that fateful summer, we are not just hearing a story, we are watching him process it, trying to understand what it all meant and why it affected him so deeply. Living right next door to Nick in West Egg is the most talked about man on Long Island, Jay Gatsby. And let me tell you, this guy is a total enigma. His mansion is a colossal, sprawling palace, a testament to his incredible wealth. And every single weekend, without fail, his house transforms into the most spectacular party you can imagine. We're talking full orchestras, endless buffets, flowing fountains of champagne, and hundreds of guests, most of whom have never even met their host. People come from all over New York just to be seen at a Gatsby party. It's the hottest ticket in town, a whirlwind of music, laughter, and dazzling lights. But where is Gatsby in all of this? That's the big question. For the first few chapters, he is more of a rumor than a person. People whisper all sorts of wild stories about him. Some say he killed a man. Others say he was a German spy during the war. Someone else might tell you he's related to some European royalty. No one really knows who he is or where his money came from. He seems to float above his own parties, a detached and mysterious figure. This mystery is part of his allure. He has built this entire world of spectacle, but he himself remains just out of reach, an almost mythical figure in his own home. Nick, being Gatsby's next-door neighbor, is naturally curious. He's one of the few people who actually receives a formal invitation to one of these legendary parties. When he finally meets Gatsby, it's almost an accident. He's not some grand, imposing figure. Instead, he's a handsome young man with a dazzling smile that Nick describes as having a quality of eternal reassurance. Gatsby is polite, a little formal, and calls everyone old sport. There's a hopeful, almost boyish energy about him that doesn't quite match the wild rumors or the extravagant lifestyle. Nick is immediately intrigued. He senses there is something more to this man than meets the eye. The mystery only deepens when Nick observes Gatsby late at night. He sees his neighbor standing alone on his lawn, staring out across the dark water toward a single green light at the end of a dock in East Egg. He's not looking at the stars or the city skyline. He is focused on that one distant light, reaching for it with an almost desperate longing. It's a strange and poignant image. We don't know what it means yet, but we get the sense that this solitary, yearning gesture holds the key to understanding the real Jay Gatsby. It's the first clue that all this wealth, all these parties, are not just for show. They have a purpose. So let's map out the key players in this drama. We have Nick, our observer. We have Gatsby, our mysterious millionaire. And then we have the Buchanans, Daisy and Tom. Daisy is Nick's second cousin, and she is the golden girl of this story. She is beautiful, charming, and captivating. Her voice, Nick tells us, is full of money. She represents the ultimate prize, the embodiment of wealth, status, and delicate beauty. She lives in a beautiful house, wears beautiful clothes, and seems to live a life of perfect, effortless grace. But underneath that shiny surface, she is sad, bored, and a little bit careless with other people's lives. Her husband, Tom Buchanan, is a completely different story. He's a massively wealthy and physically powerful man who comes from an old-money Chicago family. Tom is arrogant, aggressive, and deeply racist. He peaked in college as a star football player, and he's been trying to relive that glory ever since. He represents the brutish, entitled nature of the established upper class. Tom is cheating on Daisy with a woman named Myrtle Wilson, who lives in a desolate industrial area between West Egg and New York City called the Valley of Ashes. He is a hypocrite who demands loyalty from Daisy while having no intention of being loyal himself. This brings us to the central social conflict of the novel, the clash between old money and new money. Tom and Daisy Buchanan, living in East Egg, are the epitome of old money. Their wealth is inherited, secure, and comes with an established social status and a set of unwritten rules. They look down on the new money crowd of West Egg. To them, people like Gatsby are vulgar, flashy, and suspicious. They may have as much or even more money, but they don't have the right background, the right breeding. They will never truly belong to the same exclusive club. This social divide is a huge barrier that Gatsby will have to overcome. And finally, there's Jordan Baker, a professional golfer and a friend of Daisy's. Nick starts a sort of summer romance with her. Jordan is modern, cynical, and, as Nick discovers, incurably dishonest. She, like Nick, is a bit of a spectator to the main drama, but she's also a part of this wealthy, careless world. It is Jordan who first reveals the crucial piece of the puzzle to Nick. Gatsby's obsession isn't with money or parties, it's with Daisy. She tells Nick that Gatsby bought his massive house in West Egg for one reason and one reason only: to be directly across the bay from her. All of it, the mansion, the parties, the whole spectacle, is for Daisy. The big reveal changes everything. Suddenly, Gatsby is no longer just a mysterious millionaire. He's a hopeless romantic. We learn that he and Daisy had a passionate love affair 5 years earlier, back in Louisville, before he went off to fight in World War I. He was just a poor, unknown army officer back then, but he fell deeply in love with the beautiful, wealthy Daisy Faye. They made promises to each other, but the war separated them. While Gatsby was away, Daisy, under pressure from her family and unwilling to wait, married the incredibly wealthy Tom Buchanan. Gatsby, however, never gave up on his dream of being with her. His entire life for the past 5 years has been dedicated to one single goal: getting Daisy back. He believed that if he could just become rich and successful enough, he could win her over and they could erase the past 5 years as if they never happened. This is the engine driving the entire story. The mansion, the parties, the old sport persona. It's all an elaborate stage set designed to capture Daisy's attention. He hopes that one day she will wander into one of his parties and their love story can finally have its happy ending. It's an incredibly romantic and ambitious dream, but it's also deeply delusional. This is where Nick gets pulled into the center of the action. Gatsby, through Jordan Baker, asks Nick for a huge favor. He wants Nick to invite Daisy over to his little house for tea, without telling her that Gatsby will be there. He wants the meeting to seem casual, a chance encounter. Gatsby is terrified. For all his confidence and wealth, he is like a nervous teenager when it comes to Daisy. The scene where they finally reunite at Nick's house is both awkward and incredibly moving. At first it's tense, but then, after a tour of Gatsby's ridiculously opulent mansion, the old feelings start to reignite. Gatsby shows Daisy his collection of expensive shirts, and she famously breaks down and cries, overwhelmed by it all. For a brief period, the dream seems to be coming true. Gatsby and Daisy begin a passionate affair. They spend their afternoons at Gatsby's mansion, lost in their own world, while Tom is away in the city. Gatsby is ecstatic. He truly believes that he can turn back time. He wants Daisy to leave Tom and tell him that she never loved him. In his mind, this is the only way to truly erase the past and restore their love to its original perfect state. He doesn't just want a future with Daisy. He wants to reclaim the past 5 years and build their life from that moment. It's an impossible demand, a fantasy built on a fragile foundation of nostalgia and obsession. The summer heat rises and so does the tension. The affair can't stay a secret forever. The breaking point comes on a brutally hot day. Daisy, Tom, Nick, Jordan, and Gatsby all decide to drive into New York City to escape the heat. The mood is tense and volatile. Everyone knows something is about to happen. Tom, who has been growing suspicious of Gatsby and Daisy, is on edge. He has done some investigating into Gatsby's background and discovered that his vast fortune comes from illegal activities, like bootlegging and organized crime. The new money isn't just new, it's dirty. And Tom is ready to use this information as a weapon. The confrontation finally happens in a stuffy suite at the Plaza Hotel. It's a brutal, ugly scene. Tom relentlessly attacks Gatsby, exposing him as a fraud, a criminal, and a bootlegger. He calls him out on his fake Oxford man persona and reveals the shady sources of his wealth. Gatsby tries to fight back, insisting that Daisy never loved Tom and that she is going to leave him. He desperately needs to hear her say it. He puts Daisy on the spot, forcing her to choose between the two men, between her comfortable life with Tom and Gatsby's romantic dream. It is the ultimate test of her love and his dream. But the dream shatters. Daisy can't do it. Under pressure, she admits that she did love Tom once. She can't erase the past. She tells Gatsby, "You want too much." This is the moment Gatsby's carefully constructed world collapses. Hearing that Daisy had feelings for Tom destroys his fantasy that their love was pure and uninterrupted. He sees that he can't just delete 5 years of her life. The illusion is broken, and all the hope drains out of him. Tom, sensing his victory, cruelly sends Daisy and Gatsby back to Long Island in Gatsby's car, confident that he has won and that Gatsby is no longer a threat. The dream is dead. The magic is gone. Gatsby's entire identity was built on the idea of winning Daisy back and recreating the past. Without that dream, he is just James Gatz, a poor boy from North Dakota with a lot of illegal money. The confrontation in the Plaza Hotel reveals the harsh reality that money can't buy you class, and you can't repeat the past. Daisy, when forced to choose, retreats into the safety and security of her old money world with Tom. She is unwilling to give up her privileged life for Gatsby's uncertain romantic vision. The party is officially over. The drive back from New York turns into a full-blown tragedy as Gatsby's big yellow car speeds through the Valley of Ashes, that grim industrial wasteland between the city and West Egg. Disaster strikes. Myrtle Wilson, Tom's mistress, has just had a huge fight with her husband George. He has discovered her affair and locked her in their apartment above his garage. Seeing the yellow car that she had seen Tom driving earlier that day, Myrtle thinks Tom is coming to rescue her. She runs out into the road and the car hits and kills her instantly. But it wasn't Gatsby who was driving. It was Daisy. In a moment of panic and terror, Daisy loses control. But Gatsby, in his final desperate act of devotion, decides to take the blame. He tells Nick that he will say he was the one behind the wheel. He is still trying to protect Daisy, still clinging to the last remnants of his dream, hoping that this gesture of loyalty will prove his love. He waits outside the Buchanan's house all night, watching over her, making sure Tom doesn't hurt her. But he doesn't realize that Daisy has already made her choice. Inside, she and Tom are reconciling, united by their shared carelessness and their instinct for self-preservation. They are conspiring to let Gatsby take the fall. The tragic chain of events comes to its grim conclusion. George Wilson, Myrtle's grief-stricken husband, is convinced that the driver of the yellow car was not only the killer, but also his wife's lover. Tom, in a final act of cruel self-interest, subtly directs Wilson towards Gatsby. Believing Gatsby murdered his wife, the distraught Wilson goes to Gatsby's mansion. He finds Gatsby floating on a mattress in his pool, still waiting for a call from Daisy that will never come. Wilson shoots and kills Gatsby, and then shoots himself. The great Jay Gatsby dies alone, a victim of his own impossible dream and the carelessness of the rich. The aftermath is bleak and revealing. The hundreds of people who flocked to Gatsby's parties, who drank his champagne and enjoyed his hospitality, are nowhere to be found. They disappear as quickly as they came. Nick tries desperately to find people to come to the funeral, but almost no one is interested. Tom and Daisy have simply moved away, leaving no forwarding address, escaping the mess they helped create. In the end, Gatsby's funeral is attended by only a handful of people: Nick, Gatsby's elderly father, and a strange man with owl-eyed glasses who had once been a guest at a party. The grand spectacle of Gatsby's life ends in profound and desolate loneliness. So after all the parties, the heartbreak and the tragedy, what are we left with? Is so much more than just a story about rich people in the 1920s. It's a powerful exploration of some big, timeless ideas. The most obvious one is the American dream. Gatsby is the ultimate embodiment of this dream. He is a self-made man who pulled himself up from poverty to achieve incredible wealth. But the novel questions whether this dream is really about hard work and virtue, or if it's become corrupted by materialism and a desire for status. Gatsby achieves the wealth, but he never achieves the happiness or the acceptance he craves. The book is also a profound meditation on the past. Gatsby's entire life is driven by his obsession with recreating a perfect moment from his past. He believes that with enough money and effort, he can rewind time and fix his life. But Fitzgerald shows us that this is impossible. The past can't be repeated or erased. This longing for a greener past is a universal human experience. We all have moments we wish we could go back to. Gatsby's tragedy is a warning about the danger of living in a fantasy of what was, instead of accepting the reality of what is. His dream is beautiful, but it's also a prison. Fitzgerald uses powerful symbols to explore these themes. The most famous is the green light at the end of Daisy's dock. For Gatsby, this light represents everything he wants but can't have. Daisy, the past, wealth, and acceptance. It symbolizes the hopeful, optimistic future he is always striving for. Another key symbol is the giant looming eyes of Dr. T.J. Eckelberg, an old advertisement on a billboard in the Valley of Ashes. These eyes seem to watch over the moral decay of the world, like the eyes of a forgotten god, witnessing the characters' bad decisions and their tragic consequences. They see the carelessness of people like Tom and Daisy, who smash up things and creatures and then retreat back into their money. And that brings us to why this story, written a century ago, still feels so relevant today. It speaks to our own dreams and our own obsessions. We still live in a world that is deeply concerned with wealth, social status, and the idea of reinventing ourselves. We are still chasing our own green lights. The novel forces us to look at our own lives and ask what we are striving for and whether our dreams are truly our own. In the book's famous final line, Nick reflects on Gatsby's dream and our own human struggle. So we beat on. Boats against the current, borne back ceaselessly into the past. It's a beautiful, sad, and unforgettable image of our endless desire to move forward while being constantly pulled back by what came before.